Hello, guys, and welcome to my presentation on Joseph Stalin and how he used collectivism and totalitarianism in his rule to turn Russia from a peasant society into a industrial superpower. Guys, if you guys already don't know what collectivism is, it's the practice or principle of giving a group priority over each individual in it, and Stalin shows this by basically turning all the poor people back to serfs, and serfs are people that existed in the monarchy back when kings and queens ruled, and serfs were people that worked on the royalties' land, and in exchange they would get like a place to live and a small portion of their produce. And so Stalin had the idea that turning all the poor people into serfs would increase the nation's food production, but what he didn't know was that millions of them would die of hunger and enforced labor, and also because there was a famine going around at that time. So, Stalin also started to rapidly industrialize, and that was a success, but at the same time, it cost millions of lives and extreme harm to the environment, so it wasn't really worth it, but yeah. And secondly, Stalin, he heard about a plot that somebody was going to assassinate him. So there was an assassination plot out there for Stalin, and when Stalin heard of this, he contacted the head of the secret police to begin another purge of the Communist Party. But before that they could carry out the plan, Stalin died. He died on March 5th, 1953, but he left Russia a world superpower, but at the cost of many individuals. But he said that it helped the country as a whole, but I mean, at what cost? And many lives were lost so that others could benefit. And that's collectivism, because it's clearly collectivism, because Stalin was trying to do this for the benefit of Russia, but the poor people within Russia, or the individuals within Russia that were poor, they were not benefiting from this. So it's considered collectivism. And yeah, another thing, or another example, is that all of their productive resources had to become socialized, air quotes there, and in other words, they were no longer in any one person's control. So basically, he took over all the farms; they were all his property, and now all the people that used to live on those farms, they're basically working for Stalin, and all of their produce is all for Stalin, and Stalin takes everything for the Russians and the Soviet Union. And yeah. And then there's totalitarianism, and he does this technique too. Stalin had millions of people killed in these things called gulags, and they were kind of like concentration camps, but they didn't go there to be executed. It was a labor camp, and it was developed by the Soviet Union, and Stalin brought in poor people by the millions into these camps to work, and they were forced to work or they'd be mistreated, and they were worked to the death. So basically, they work until they die. And Stalin was controlling pretty much every aspect of their life, and that's what totalitarianism is that they would control every aspect of their life, public or private. So he was controlling every aspect of their life. All the people that worked in those gulags, they were basically slaves to Stalin. And and I have a second example, is one of Stalin's mentors named Leon Trotsky, or in other words, his nickname was Lenin. Even he used to be Stalin's friend, but even he thought that Stalin's ways were like deceitful, and he wrote, "Stalin is too rough." And these words, they did not affect Stalin, and the criticism did not affect him. But he decided to get back at Leon Trotsky because he thought that Leon Trotsky may start something against him, and maybe there'd be a revolution plotted against him, and maybe he'd be thrown out of power. So he made him resign from his position of war minister, and he kicked him out of the Bolsheviks party in 1927. Now he wanted to eliminate the remaining minority of the Trotskyite influence. So everybody that followed Trotsky, that he wanted to get rid of, or he wanted to get rid of the influence. So Stalin kicked out Trotsky from the Soviet Union, and he had him killed in Mexico, assassinated in Mexico in 1940. So that's how he showed totalitarianism. And but he died in 1953. He lived a pretty long life for that time era, but he left the world, or at least he left Russia, a superpower. So yeah, thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you guys learned something, and Thanks.
Hello, I'm Joseph Stalin, your ruler and your dictator. I am a strong believer of communism, and I believe that I rule over all of you, and all of you peasants out there, you all owe me your land, and I...